That's good. You're in the right spot. I have a video to show you guys.
Listen to what I'm saying now. Disengage, repeat, disengage. Pilot! Mayday, mayday! India Gulf 999 is blind spot. Abort, abort! There are children aboard. Say again, there are children aboard this boat. Put a field around us now! Never done with that big pilot! Do it now! Abort, abort, abort! Abort, abort, abort!
So sad. But they lived, guys. Do not watch.
It's a spoiler.
So as many of you may know, I'm not bragging on it or anything, I'm just really happy about it. I'm a certified life coach, and one of the things that I've discovered is that personal development, self-awareness, there are many different benefits to it, but today I'll be discussing 3 of them. And pertaining to this video, every time that I see that scene, I think, wow, look at how many of us are similar to Violet Parr. She could not place the force field around the whole entire airplane. But then if you watch throughout the movie, then she does become a little bit better with with using her powers. So, my first point, upon becoming self-aware, you gain consciousness of what your natural strengths are and what your natural weaknesses are as well. I've realized throughout my personal development journey that as I began to look more within myself, and especially us as Christians, and I noticed a lot of dragons in my dungeon, where, you know, a lot of us may not want to go into. So a lot of us may fear exploring the darkness that lives within us, and that keeps us from going into ourselves, because we don't want to deal with certain habits or certain behaviors that we may come face to face with. But I actually encourage that all of us actually go in there with our swords. Maybe like if you have like a double-edged sword, whatever as the Bible says. I highly encourage all of us to try and take that time to go within ourselves, find those dragons, and attack them. Because upon doing that, number 2, after becoming self-aware, you are now in a position where God can help you grow and better yourself overall. The dark areas that you notice now become opportunities for God to mold you. So a lot of us try to escape from ourselves. A lot of us know of these dragons, but we are afraid to go near them. But then when other people point them out, then we become really offended. Because we're aware of those things, but we're not supposed to stop at self-awareness. Now we're supposed to move ahead into personal development. So I often think of us as people who've been created with superpowers. And for those of you who may know, I probably shouldn't have unplugged this so quickly, but for those of you who may know, one of the tools that I use for my personal development and with my coaching and everything is the Myers-Briggs type indicator. How many of you guys heard about that? Yes. See, here at Liberty, a lot of people know about it, and I know that, you know, they let a lot of us take the test, but a lot of the results are not accurate. And a lot of people do not know the science behind it. So I took the time to write out, first off, that each of the 16 personalities, they all have what I would call 4 superpowers, if you will. So just to read this one would be extroverted thinking, introverted intuition, extroverted sensing, introverted feeling. All of them have a different superpower behind it, which I took the time to define and we're not going to go through right now. But pretty much what I do with a lot of my clients and what I do within myself is I help people identify which one they are, and then I help them understand why God wired your mind in this way. Why did God put these superpowers within you? And how are you going to use that to advance His kingdom? That takes a lot of self-awareness, and then that takes a lot of personal development. So I see self-awareness as being able to know that, oh wow, I can create force fields. I see self-awareness as knowing like, Do any of you watch X-Men or the X-Men movies?
Yeah.
How many of you guys know Magneto?
Yeah.
Awesome. Magneto's capable of manipulating metal. I see self-awareness as him knowing that he's capable of manipulating metal, and being average or basic is being able to, okay, I can pick up a laptop or microwave, maybe some nickels and dimes. But I see personal development as when Magneto finally enters Professor Xavier's school and he starts learning to develop those powers within him. We all have at least 4 superpowers that we may or may not be aware of, but a lot of us are acting like Violet Parr. When we're asked to use those superpowers, I don't know, I've never made a force field that big, because we never took the time to actually become familiar enough with our superpowers to be able to use them. So my third point is, once you've taken the time and made the effort to develop yourself, you've now become who God has ultimately created you to be. So a lot of people may think, oh, Denzel, why are you always talking about this Myers-Briggs thing or whatever? Personally, I see it as a great tool. It's not the Bible, but I see it as a great tool to be able to further understand yourself and develop those superpowers. Because then, just to put me and Joe on the spot, I'm always picking on you, but I like you, that's why. So this is not to say I'm better than him or anything, but me and Joe, we're both ENFJ, so we both have extrovert feelings, introvert intuition, all of that, the same superpowers, if you will. But if I've taken the time to become aware that I have these superpowers and I know how to use them more effectively, whether it comes to job interviews or preaching or whatever the case may be, and Joe may be self-aware of them, he may know, like, as Matilda, for those of you who may have watched that movie, how to like manipulate things every now and then, but he does not have complete control of that. Well, who would you rather hire, me or Joe? Who would you rather want to be in charge of the group, the pack? In conclusion, the 3 benefits I mentioned above have been very provident in my own life, and I just really highly recommend everyone to, maybe this doesn't have to be the model that you use, but I just highly recommend everyone to self-introspect, understand yourself more, and learn how to develop yourself in the best ways possible so that you can ultimately further God's kingdom. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Yeah, Moses has one.
Yes, Moses.
What are you majoring in?
Communications.
Communications.
Yeah.
So anything you, as in like, I know you said you want to do like, yeah, coaching, I guess, certificate degree. Do you want to do like anything in like the psychology realm, or you want to kind of just stay towards, communication? Because I realized after like the first 2 presentations, I just, just kind of pulled off with, I was thinking just recently. What do you think?
I feel like I love studying psychology. I'm not really into things like post-traumatic stress disorder and all of that. So I think that that's like mainly, like when I hear of psychology majors, I think that they like focus on that type of area. And I'm kind of like zoomed in on the how your mind is wired, the personal development phase of that, Carl Jung's cognitive functions that I just always like tell people, because the good thing about this school is that they do give the Myers-Briggs test and everything in my freshman year. The first time that I took the test, I got the wrong results. I honestly thought that the test was like a which Disney princess are you type of test. Like I wasn't really interested. And then my girlfriend's older brother, who studies it in depth, he's the one who told me what I was accurately, and I'm like, what is this? I read about it, I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. How does this know all of that? And then it showed so many of my weaknesses, but then also so many of my strengths. And it helped me become comfortable with myself, which I think as a Christian is so vital. Like if you become comfortable with yourself, if you become aware of what you have and you use that for God's glory, insane. And I just always think of this utopia, like imagine a world where everyone knew what they were capable of and what other people were capable of, how to communicate with each other, and then be able to use that to advance God's kingdom. So that's kind of like the utopia that I'm trying to create. And it's not that I'm trying to like idolize Myers-Briggs thing, but I've just found it like very helpful in my opinion, and I'm self-taught, so yeah, I don't think I want to go into psychology. If I went to graduate school, it would be theology, but
Theology, okay,
yeah. Any other questions? Wait, no.